Why aren't there new crazy ideas happening?
Because
it was kind of cars for you initially. What were the very first cars that really, when you were a kid and really kind of getting into all this stuff?
When I was a kid, I didn't know.
Right.
No. My first car was a 1934 Ford Roadster, flathead V8, rumble seat. And back then we made parts. We made a new header bar out of a 2x4. You know, so. And then I go to Art Center School. I get sort of caught up in the process of how cars are made, a little bit more familiarity with the process. And while I was at Art Center, I was there from 56 to 59 when I graduated.
Okay.
Well, the 59 Cadillac had just come out, and I thought, I might as well do something else because there will never be another car that cool.
So that was the first car that just really grabbed you and was like, this is where it's at.
The only contemporary car line that I think is beautifully done are the Aston Martins, the Roadster and the Coupe.
Yeah.
They're taut. They have a continuity to the shape. It closes in on itself. They're beautiful cars.
Through the 80s and 90s, there was definitely a progression. Things were getting less complex as they kind of peaked in the early 90s, and now they're moving back into more wedge shapes and stuff. But it seems like we're kind of circling around the same few ideas. Why aren't there new crazy ideas happening?
Because 1% market share increase or decrease is hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. And this wedge shape, the back end is up in the air, the front end is down, looking like the car is in a perpetual panic stop. That was first done as it was called the California Rake in the hot rod era. Little wheels in front, big slicks in the back.
Right.
And so everything was like that. That was the look. And when Exner came in as head of Chrysler Styling, he put the fins on, and his cars had that sweep. It was called flight sweep towards the back. Beautifully done. And that sort of, I guess, started the mindset of the car has to be slanted down like that. Then there's the downward downforce if you're going over 100 miles an hour, which I don't think Kias do that.
Right.
You know? And they all have, then you put a spoiler on a little Kia or an Asp or whatever. And it's purely to make it look like to the other guys that your car is really hot.
How do you feel about spoilers? Like, do you think they're generally...
They're ridiculous.
Yeah, right.
The Porsche has one that rises up, and I think, at 30 miles an hour? Oh, please. It's testosterone hype, and it means absolutely nothing because the person that owns that car is just simply not going to drive it that fast.
Just like they try to make cars look like they're moving when they're not moving now.
Right.
People are trying to make gadgets look like they're moving when they're not moving.
I have in my studio a printer, and why it has to look like it's going 30 miles an hour or 60, I don't know.
Yeah. But a lot of the stuff that I kind of pay attention to now, even though I'm still into cars, is like consumer electronics and gadgets and like the things we own. And it seems like for a long time, the future still never came, right? Like everything, it came up in these little bits and pieces, but the things we owned, our gadgets, have changed a lot.
What the reason for that is once you get like 5 things working electronically, let's say the product and the design is done, it's on the market, then you can put different things together and come up with 10. So it's an add-on boost to the next stage, and automobiles already are almost an entity to themselves. If you're going to do future, the future doesn't start from zero, it starts from right now, so everything's here already. In terms of commercial viability to make something work, if you're going to do future, you have to have a familiarity as the hook, and then you overlay it and make it sort of a little bit odd, but you have to have, that's why I always put people in my illustrations, because that's the hook.
Do you think that the designers of the last 30 or 40 years have been looking at your stuff saying, we're going to aim towards that? Or do you think that you just kind of guessed where the trends were going and it worked independently?
I hope I guessed and it worked, because the ultimate goal of somebody who does what I do is to do what they call future-proof stuff. The whole thing of inventing the future is starting with now, and then you say, okay, what would be the ideal way to have this really, if you could do it, look? A lot of the things I did back in the 60s for U.S. Steel, the vehicles, now it's happening, and it was not that case back then. I was working with Ford. What I did was I was asked to design a new vehicle with sort of the mechanical mystique of the Model T, which I proceeded to do. It looked too new. It didn't have that antique gloss to it.
I always think it's funny, like some of the U.S. Steel stuff, because obviously they were commissioning you to design concepts with steel.
The U.S. Steel books were aimed at the car design industry. It's supposed to be entertainment for these guys that do cars every day, and that's their job. It's a linear career, and they can't do these things. So you design these beautiful machines and render them photographically and put people in there. It's a whole scenario, and they look at that, and they were instantly successful.